What do you all make of it, Matt?
It's very hard to fathom, Stu, isn't it? I saw that online, and you're just exasperated. Really, I think is the term I'd use. How can the leaders of the team, three Lions, and the captain, senior players, break protocol? A simple protocol. Once we come back to the hotel, for a whole lot of reasons, COVID, alcohol, a whole lot of reasons, don't go out. And they just ignore what's best for the team because they're playing a test match representing their country 6 days later, so it's a Sunday game, and go out drinking. I mean, even in the amateur days, people would have said, come on now, if we said we're not going out, we're not going out. We do it as a team. But look, it's something Shane Horgan has pointed out on TV a number of times, is the culture that leadership in a team provides has a direct impact on the field. And if you look at Hogg and Russell, they've made big mistakes in big games this year, and have lacked, especially Finn, Russell has lacked energy and in defence and determination. Yet you've got people like Rory Darg busting his backside in his first game to defend and to sprint back and to make hard tackles. And I can only just feel for Gregor Townsend and the Scottish rugby supporters who must just be saying, well, what is it these guys don't get? Like, what is it you don't get about that? And I find, and look, what this Scottish team is in danger of, and I've come out and said they're the most talented group Scotland have had since professionalism started. But that's all going to be wasted because of their inconsistency. And you're seeing then adding things like this. There's no wonder they're inconsistent if that's their mindset. Like I was upset when I heard it, but I was in disbelief. I said, surely, like at this time of the season, and this where we are in the game, and where Scotland are poised, and their captain and their leading players. I mean, it's really sad. I really feel for Gregor Townsend because that reflects on the team, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't reflect on Gregor at all. But that's just the way the world looks. And so, look, this is the second time this has happened with guys with alcohol. Like, what's going on? What's Gregor doing? They're men. They're men. They're grown men. They're not children to say, you naughty little boys. These are grown men, senior professionals that have let their country and their coach just swinging out there in the wind. I'm really, really, really staggered.
Alan, do you echo exactly what Matt says? What do you make of it?
Yeah, it's very, very strange, and so I'm like, it's hard to believe that this has happened. Maybe it's not a big thing with all the players because out of the group that went out, they all seem to be involved. Bar Finn Russell, am I correct in saying that?
Yeah.
So
Tupelutu's not out. Tupelutu's
he's gone off the bench, is he?
Yeah.
So what we're hearing, and that there has been a statement from the Scottish Rugby Union that some of the players came home and maybe some didn't. But I think it's, look, without dwelling too much on it, it's shocking to say the least. When you're part of a group, you have a privilege of playing for your country, representing your club, your family, your people, and your country, most important, and having respect for the people around you. I like, this is something that you would associate with an under-18 team or maybe an under-20 team, a club side.
Yeah. Like
these are adults, they're experienced guys, they've been around a long time. The situation, if they go out, they get COVID, they bring it back into the camp, they could jeopardize everyone's possibility of playing against Ireland this week. So, like, what planet are they on? There's something serious. They all should have been dropped, in my opinion. The whole lot should have been gone. He should have made a statement. They're not going to win in Dublin anyway, I don't think. Should have made a statement, should have dropped a whole lot of them. And that's where the only failing in all this is that he hasn't dropped all 6 of them. out of the 23. And that, like, it's shocking stuff. And look, people make mistakes. People will stay out past, curfews and times. And I've been in teams over the years. But COVID makes it's a different situation with COVID. And all these players and squads would have sat down before the tournament, agreed the protocols that they were going to adhere to, but trying to stay in the bubble as much as they can. It's difficult for some who have to go back to France and stuff like that, but to try and do the right thing, to actually go back to Edinburgh and to do it back at base, basically, it's mind-boggling. But look, Gregor, I'm sure will be quizzed in this a bit more post-game, but it's a pity. It's a shame it's happened, and I'm not sure how it'll affect them. I think they'll still be fired up. They'll still be very dangerous. They'll still want to try and get a result. Sometimes things like this galvanize the team, brings them closer together. But it's a pity because I like it's only really kind of, I've only heard it a very short while ago. And I don't want to be too hard on guys, but they're not kids. You said it, Matt. They're not kids. They should know better. And it just goes against anything that you're trying to build in a team, any sort of respect and unity. And I don't know why. Have a few beers in the hotel and just understand the world is different at the moment with COVID. You bring COVID in, as I said, jeopardizes the game.
Yeah.
Matt, if we take one last one on Finn Russell, obviously he's had his issues with Gregor in the past. This is now another issue. Where does he, with Scotland, go from here? I know he's on the bench tomorrow, but even going forward, would you still have him involved because he's so good, Matt, or do you not see it like that?
I don't know the psychology of Finn. There is zero doubt of his talent and his ability.
He's a good bloke as well, Matt. He's popular with players. He's a decent fella, very mannerly, a nice fella. Yeah. Probably a little bit childish, maybe young, free spirit. But he is a good bloke, to be fair. Yeah. So we don't want to completely kick a fella when he's down. But he's had issues with Gregor, and this cropped up. Was it last year, the year before, when he came back in the Sunday night and he went out for a few beers as well? And it's only himself he's hurting, really.
It is, Albert. And look, his form, and as I say, this guy's a really good player. And Scotland, and I know from first-hand experience, the big issue for Gregor is the depth of talent, of playing talent within Scotland. And very rarely do you have these world-class 10s that obviously Finn is. So you've got a world-class 10, a world-class 15, number 8, 9, like the spine of that team for the first time in 20 years in every position, including hooker, if you put hooker in the spine of that team, is really strong. But Finn has not played well since the England game. He's been poor, and I don't know why. Now, I don't know this for a fact. He doesn't look to be in prime condition. He looks to be a little bit lax with sometimes the French players that go to France get into that habit because you can't train as hard because you're playing every week, every Saturday. So you've got to rest to get ready to play, and your conditioning drops off. I would suspect that's happened with Finn, and his form has not been anything like we know what it can be. He's dropped some simple balls. He got himself yellow carded. He did a terrible kick up the field against DuPont, where DuPont counterattacked and they scored, and he didn't chase back with enough energy and effort to fix up his mistake. He let other people do it, and they didn't or couldn't do it. They scored a try. Now, there was Shane Hogg said something to me, which I agree, that really that attitude from a leader, you can't have it in the team, and there has to be something done to address it, because you compare that, again, as I said before, to Rory Darg, who has just been sensational since he's given his chance. He's 2 run-ons, and he's been brilliant, but he's been the exact opposite. So it doesn't take talent to do those things, but it does take effort, and it does take a commitment. And I'm not suggesting that Finn is not committed to Scotland, but somewhere along those combinations of things, he just hasn't got it together at this year's Six Nations. And he might be trying his guts out and just not working for him. But it doesn't appear that way when you're just observing it from the sidelines.